All right. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is what do you do the day after you just completely go off the rails, whatever. You have a massive, it's supposed to be a cheat meal, turns into a cheat day. It turns into you're at the beach. I'm not calling you out, Jacob, but something just goes crazy wrong and you overeat all day for 7 days, right? What do you do after the day that you go off a plan? So every fat loss journey includes some level of deviation to some degree, even with myself. Whether it's a planned cheat meal, an unexpected event happens, a weekend getaway, or simply just a rough day that turned into a night of just binge eating. Right? It happens. It sucks, but it does happen. What separates successful clients from those who stay stuck is not how perfectly they avoid these slip ups, but how they effectively recover from them. A lot of people are in that all or nothing mindset to where if you're on day 7 of 7 days in a row of eating very, very well and you have a slip up and you have an overly big cheat meal or you just kind of go off the rails a little bit, is that an indication of a poor week? No, it's just you had a 1 day slip up, maybe even a 1 or 2 meal slip up. So um, the day after that you go off a plan, though, is one of the most critical points to either A, making or continuing to make progress or just staying stuck. This is where those emotional decisions can either compound the issue at hand or just completely neutralize it for the most part. Uh, I will say, just from my experience, most people make it worse. Not because they don't care, but they panic and they overreact and they overcorrect in the wrong direction. I get several messages a week of, hey, I was supposed to do XYZ. We were out of town. I didn't have food. I ate this and I shouldn't have. Do I just need to fast all day the next day? Do I just need to do something crazy? And it's like 99% of the time. And again, it's everything that I do is person to person dependent. It all depends, but 99% of the time it's nope, get back on your normal routine. There's nothing extra that you need to do. Just get back on the horse. And a lot of you have probably heard me say that terminology before. Just get back on it, right? Um, and so, if your first instinct after a big slip up like that, or just an entire weekend of just being off plan, is to indulge, and skip meals, reduce meals, fast, do something crazy, right? This call could speak volumes to you. So let's break down what actually happens, and then how to handle that time frame the day after, right? With a pretty strategic strategy to just getting back on point. So let's look at what actually happens when you overeat. So you wake up heavier than normal. The scale spikes up, right? It's not fat, it's water retention, it's stored glycogen, it's undigested food in your stomach, and it's temporary inflammation. When you eat more carbohydrates than normal, your body's going to store them as glycogen in your muscles and in your liver. For every gram of glycogen that you intake and you store, your body is going to hold 3 point something. It's 3 to 4 grams of water for every gram of glycogen stored. Once you add in increased sodium, total food volume, I mean, it's not unusual to gain 2 to 5 pounds overnight, right? Within an 8 to 10 hour span. None of this is fat gain, though. If we look at this from a perspective of how do you put on body fat? It takes roughly 3,500 calories over your maintenance to gain 1 pound of body fat. And even if you had a large meal or a dessert that went off plan, you would have to be in a pretty significant surplus, not just above your macros, but far above maintenance. Now, it can happen. Don't get me wrong, it could definitely happen. But if you're eating one meal that's 3,500 calories over probably what it was intended to, you'll probably feel pretty crappy the next day or even a few hours later, and you'll probably learn to not do that again and not go crazy overboard. And now the the average client doesn't do that. Um, if you're just in like a typical body comp phase or a cutting phase or whatever, your body is not going to be storing that 3,500 extra additional calories and put it toward body fat, right? It has to be a pretty extended binge period over a couple day period. Now, this is not an excuse for you guys to hang up this phone call, swerve into McDonald's, and eat 3,500 calories and say, "Yep, coach said it's not going to matter." It does matter, but this is how you get out of it if it does happen. So again, if you see that the scale is up, it's temporary. Don't restrict anything. Don't go off the walls crazy. Don't break the scale. Don't say I'm not weighing again for a week. Don't do that. Just get back in your normal routine. Now, the biggest mistake with this is just overcorrecting. What most people like to do is fix it, all of it, every single bit of it, the next day with excessive restriction. I've been there. I've done it. Um, there was a time that I did a bodybuilding show. I went out that night after a restriction from food for a long time, and I ate my body weight in Mexican food and chips and salsa and cheese dip. And the next morning, I was at the gym on the stairmaster for an hour because I was going to burn this off. Nope, I shouldn't have done it. Granted, should I have ate my body weight in Mexican food? It happens. It's one time. It was after a show, so was it warranted? Maybe, but still, I learned my lesson. What people typically do is they'll skip breakfast, they'll undereat all day, do extra cardio, and just try to sweat it out, just to make up for the day before. While they might feel productive in the short term, like, oh, this is going to mitigate that. This is exactly what drives that binge and restrict cycles, and just metabolic inconsistency. So under eating after a high day, it honestly can create a perfect storm for another high day later on down the road, like later that week. This is really just due to increased hunger, a lower energy burnout, and just maybe even a little bit of an emotional rebound. So again, these things don't have effects just the day after. They can carry on days and days later. So what your body needs after that off day plan is just normalization. It's not punishment. Trying to compensate with a crash diet approach only delays that reset process, and it trains your body and honestly your mind too to associate food as like a guilt, and then in relation to that, it goes into the overcorrection phase. And it just kind of cycles into a long-term problem that you don't really, it's a road that you don't want to go down. To be blunt, it can be people who have like clinically diagnosed, like, well, maybe that's not the right word, but like, well, it could be like an eating disorder, right? That's from these restrictive cycles of just binging and then restriction. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. So again, I've said this several times. What should you do instead? Obviously, just return to baseline. It's just as simple as that. The most effective strategy, 99% of the time, is to return to your normal routine as quickly and just as accurately as you can. It's going to give your body what it needs to recover. Number one, psychologically. And then, number two, it's going to help get things moving back in the right direction. I mean, if you're going off of a very high day and then going into a very low day, those hunger signals are going to be all over the place. The more of a routine that you can get back on quicker, it's going to just keep those crazy hunger signals at bay. Now, one thing that you could modify your diet with is just start with a protein-rich breakfast. This is going to keep a lot of that satiation checked off, I guess is the best way to put that. Because you have a high day, that hunger is going to be higher in the morning for sure. So a protein-rich breakfast, just get your normal meals in, get your usual step count, drink plenty of water, not excessive, but just your normal amount of water. Really, if we're thinking about it from a standpoint of, just motility, if you had a very high food day the day before and then you don't get back on your normal water routine, you're going to be constipated and bloated and backed up for days after. So get the water in. That's one of the biggest things as well too. And then just move your body. Don't sit still. Don't feel sad for yourself. Just nothing's going to come from that anyway. Just get up and move. The more predicted the more predictability that you can put in your schedule, like your normal meals, or your normal steps, your normal water intake, your normal gym routine, after you have that setback, the quicker that bounce back is going to happen. And we've already talked about movement and digestion, but to touch on that a little bit further, light movement, light walking can make a massive difference in how you feel. I know personally, if I eat a huge meal, going for a walk, 30 to 60-minute walk outside, is going to have huge benefits, really on helping with blood sugar, cortisol. It's going to help stimulate digestion. And you'll probably have to pee after it's done because it's going to flush out a ton of water retention. So again, just get the body moving. Because if digestion does feel slow, um, they're if you stick to your normal meals the day after and you're in meal one, meal two, and digestion just starts to feel very, very slow, consider simplifying the meals for that day, to where it's strictly whole foods. They're easy to digest, lean proteins, cooked veggies, low FODMAP carbs, plenty of water, things like that that can just kind of ease your way back into it. And that's kind of the other percentage of it, is if somebody really went over the rails and digestion is screwed up, and things are not looking good for them the morning after, then for sure swapping to like a protein veggie diet, high water intake during the day to kind of just flush everything out. That is the other, kind of percentage of it of what you could do, but that's not the typical response. Again, it's all person to person dependent. Um, and then if we look at water retention and sodium, probably that cheat meal that you had a ton of sodium in it. Every a restaurant that you go to, a packaged snack, a bag of chips, whatever, it's going to have a ton of salt in it, which is going to lead to a ton of sodium retention. And I think Ren can speak to that in itself. Sodium can be some people's worst enemy, when it comes to that. Now, you don't need to go on some salt detox flushing water program or drink 2 gallons to flush all the extra water out. There's no need to do that. But don't keep avoiding processed foods and overly high sodium foods the next day. Even if it fits your macros, pull back on those a little bit. Let all that excess sodium from the day before just flush out. It can take anywhere from 2 to 3 days, to fully clear all that extra sodium. So just be patient. You're not gonna weigh at 200 pounds one morning, and then you have a big meal that goes up to 225, and then the next day everything's all hunky dory. The water's off, the food's out, the sodium's down, and you're back to 220. Typically doesn't work like that. And so one thing that I preach on to you guys a lot too is the scale. I'd love to have those 7 day scale weights. A lot of people won't do that, and I wish they would. But if stepping on the scale after that day is going to just completely ruin your mindset, then just don't weigh yourself, or just do like I've told people in the past. Just weigh it, put it in the app, and it's out of your mind. It doesn't matter. It's just a data point. That's all it is. Um, I mean, you're not obligated to collect that data if it's going to mess with your psyche, right? Like if it's going to throw you into a tizzy all day, then for sure don't take it that day. But notate in your check-in that, hey, that high cheat meal day the day before, I didn't want to take my weight. I'm not really sure where it was at. At least correlate that to your coach, just to be sure that everybody is on the same page. And this is why I like to collectively have those 7 days worth of data's, scaled weights across the 7 day span. Um, if you had a 5, 10 pound spike of weight during the week and it throws your weight up 10 pounds and it takes 5 days for that to come back down. Well, if I didn't have all 7 days of weights for that, I wouldn't know that. It would just be a 1 day weight and 7 days later weight. So again, that's another, um, gentle reminder to put your 7 day weights inside of the app daily. Um, and then, if you, after all this is said and done, if you know that you're going to have a day like that, like if you're just you're out at a ball game. You're going to have a high sodium, a high calorie meal, whatever the case may be. Um, maybe even consider having the next day's meals already ready to go, or maybe even an altered plan. Kind of like we talked about with the protein and veggies. Just don't wake up the next day and say, I wonder if I wake up and I feel cruddy, do I just self-loathe in myself and just keep eating like an asshole, or do I just get back on the horse, just like Austin says, and just keep going? Wake up at your normal time, drink enough water, go for a walk, eat a protein-based breakfast, plan all of your meals if you need to, log your food as normal, hit your steps, go train, um, shut off all screens an hour before bedtime. Don't stay up till 2 a.m. watching TikTok. Get back on your normal routine. At the end of everything, after everything that I said, the more structured of a plan that you have to get back on track once you mess up, the less that you'll have to think about it and the faster that you'll get back on plan. So, that's all that I got as far as the call goes. Now, anybody want to share anything about that? Have any questions about that at all, or have an instance to where that's happened to you and you've uh, freaked out, have an episode, whatever?
Well, I'll just say, I've definitely been on both ends of that spectrum of like either like going off the rails for one day and like just saying F it and just, you know, keep rolling with it. And then also been on the other end of that where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna try to make up for it and like either not consume as much or, um, and then also like kind of avoid like seeing the number on the scale as well. Um, but I think, which I think that I kind of shared that one time before um, with you, and whenever you explained it, that it was just like another data point that definitely helped me a lot. Just to realize that like it's another data point to be able to see like okay, that was a spike there, but then you know got back on track and it was able to come back down um, quicker than if I had just kind of continued to roll with my fix, I guess, of it. Um, so, but yeah, that's kind of where I've been at with it before.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is if you if you have an instance like that, and I think it's good to step on the scale. Just know, like, hey, my actions that I did last night, that I ate like a complete asshole. This is what happens. You know, um, do I want to keep doing that every weekend and setting my progress back? Let's make yourself self-aware. Just what it boils
Yeah,
down to. If you have no self accountability, there's not much I can do for you. I mean, I can't be at your house 24/7. I can't smack the food out of your hand. I mean, you got to have some kind of self accountability on your own. So,
yeah,
if you overeat, if it was up to me, say, I don't care, weigh it. Let's see what the number is.
yeah.
Let's just see. So, anybody else got anything to add to that? And like, I mentioned to you guys before about, the binge eating episode after a show several years ago. It was to the point to where when I got done with the show, I stopped by Chick-fil-A. I wanted a Oreo ice cream so bad. So I got one of those. Um, and then I went and ate Mexican food after that, and it was just so bad. Like the food was right here. I was like, I'm either about to choke on the food that I've just ate because all of it's like right here. I mean, my stomach was slap full. And the next morning, I woke up a good bit heavier. And granted, this is just learning things as I go. I drank water too fast after the show. I should have reversed the water out, which is not very commonly done. But if you're in that state, if you're in a very, very lean state where water is very restricted, and you have to reintroduce water the same way that you do food. But again, I went to the gym the next day and did an hour of cardio with a hoodie on, jogging pants on, try to just like, yep, you're not doing this crap again. And then when in reality, I probably could have just got up and went for a walk and just been at peace with it, and just ate my normal meals for the day and just been totally fine. But it's a learning experience for me as well too. But
Don't a lot of people after a show or something though do have like a meal, like a kind of off course meal, I guess, than
oh
what's
yeah, yeah, they do. But there needs to be some type of structure to it. I mean, it just doesn't need to be, hey, go enjoy a meal, right? I mean, typically, yeah. I mean, I'll go tell a client, hey, enjoy a free meal, after the show is over, whatever. Enjoy a free meal the Sunday breakfast of the day after, right? And then after that, like try your best to get back close to plan as you can. Um, now there's a difference in between getting a burger and fries and then getting a burger and fries and then an appetizer and then a dessert and then stopping by Insomnia Cookies on the way home. I mean, there's just there's levels to it, right?
yeah.
I mean, I know some individuals who have done a show and then within 7 days they've gained 30 pounds. So they have given themselves um, a ton of body fat and a very dangerous level of edema. Their ankles are swelling. If you touch their ankles, it just like it leaves a little indentation because they're so swelled with the water and sodium and glycogen intake. Like it's dangerous. That's when you have a heart attack. So it's very crucial that if you ever were to do something like that, that you have to be, you need to have some accountability and some self control that hey, even though I just dieted for 20 weeks, I could royally f my plan up with 5 days of just eating whatever. So just get your fix. Get the free meal that night, get you a good breakfast at IHOP the next morning, whatever the case may be, and then just call it a day and get back on plan as quick as you can. So, but outside of that, if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll roll from there. I don't think I have any more crazy stories to tell you guys. After my last show in Texas, I had a burger and fries, and we ordered a milkshake, but we shared it together. No, no, let me take that back. That was the day before we left Texas. After I won my pro card, there was nothing else open. That show went on until like 10:30 that night. There was nothing open. The only thing open was a Whataburger, and it was awful. It was my first experience. I had dieted for 24 weeks and was wanting a hamburger and fries so bad. And I went to Whataburger because that was the only thing open, and it was the most god awful hamburger I ever had in my life. Um,
Oh my coach, I have actually my first two shows. That's exactly what I ate after my show was a Whataburger. Like I was waiting for it.
it well, and I think what it was that was the only thing open. We went there and it was so packed that we sat at the booth for like 30 minutes waiting to eat. And granted, I'm starving. I haven't ate in like hours just because I was trying to stay dry and win the show. And then they got to us. The fries were soggy. The burger was like this thick, like it was nothing. And I'm just like, this doesn't count. I'm going somewhere else after I eat
Oh,
this.
I hate you had a horrible experience because after the show, oh my gosh, it is the best burger in the world.
Well, and there's a Whataburger.
Well, and what's crazy though, because they're making them all around because I grew up in Texas. So that's where, but I haven't eaten here once. I haven't had a Whataburger at all. I only had one after my first two shows and it was like the best. And I won't go now because I don't care for it now.
Yeah, I mean, and there's one built just a mile from my house here in Anderson, and I haven't gone. Just that first experience just ruined it for me. So
That sucks.
I may give it another try one day, but it's
But you have
after.
to be really craving for it. Like,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. If I had it my way now, if I have a big overly sized cheat meal, it's Mexican food. I can make a
Nope.
hamburger. I can make a hamburger at home. Uh,
Mine is a hamburger, not Mexican food. That is the last I will choose.
Mexican food can be dangerous though. Those chips and salsa and cheese dip, it can be it can be dangerous.
Oh
So
yeah.
you have to keep yourself reeled in on those. But um, yeah, outside of that, it was a great call. If you guys got any other questions at all, let me know. And I got a couple of you guys I got to do check-ins for. I'm getting there, so I'll have you guys squared away here shortly, and we'll go from there.